From SBS, this is World News Australia.
Good evening and welcome to the program. I'm Lee Lin Chin.
Good evening, welcome to Mediawatch. I'm Jonathan Holmes. We're Jonathan Holmeses. And first to Sydney's Daily Telegraph, which has been doing some anthropological research.
The 7 tribes of Sydney.
Kirsten Craze has lifted the lid on the lost tribes of Sydney.
Well, this tribe may not be lost, but it's certainly a long way from Sydney.
Source, Herald Sun.
Herald Sun? That's right. The picture was first published in Melbourne's Herald Sun on the 26th of January this year.
Australia Day. Celebrate our nation.
Ella, Alex and Chu at Gunnamatta.
Gunnamatta, of course, is a surf beach on the southern shore of the Mornington Peninsula, about 1,000 kilometres from Sydney's ocean beaches. We know News Limited boss Kim Williams wants his papers to work together more, but this is ridiculous. Meanwhile, the benevolent folks at News Limited papers around the country and lots of other media outlets have been working together to help reduce your power bill.
People power.
The Big Switch.
We can help you beat the carbon tax on your power bill.
Unite to drive your power costs down.
New bid to rein in electricity prices.
As Rosemary Lentini, not just a reporter, but a
public defender,
put it in the Daily Telegraph,
the Daily Telegraph has joined forces with our sister papers across the country to push for bulk discounts large enough to neutralise an electricity price rise the Federal Treasury estimates could be as high as 10%. The campaign will be led by one of the country's most respected consumer crusaders, the former face of choice, Christopher Zinn.
For a month now, we've had high-voltage coverage in News Limited tabloids in Melbourne, Adelaide and Sydney.
Power surge.
Thousands join campaign to cut electricity bills. One Big Switch campaign director, Christopher Zinn, at the campaign launch.
And from day one, Mr Zinn's efforts have been supported too by the Nine Network's Today Show.
This morning, you can do something about it. Together with News Limited newspapers and One Big Switch, we are launching the Big Electricity Switch. It's a great initiative and we need your help to fight for cheaper electricity prices. To explain it all, Christopher Zinn from One Big Switch is here. Christopher, this is a ripper of an idea. Tell us about it.
Look, it's about group switching, and basically if we can get 25,000 people, businesses as well as consumers together, we can go to that and negotiate for a better electricity rate.
Like News Limited, Today is an official supporter of One Big Switch's campaign. But that hasn't stopped others from joining in, like 7 News.
One Big Switch is trying to recruit 25,000 homes and businesses and then use that buying power to negotiate bargain power. Those who've already done it have saved 12%, hundreds of dollars.
And 7's Today Tonight.
Well, One Big Switch is a campaign underway to pressure the electricity providers into some big discounts.
And plenty of radio programs, including the ABC's.
Yeah, we're talking about One Big Switch campaign. Tell us about it.
Really, this is about using the power of forming people into groups to get better deals on essential services.
Christopher Zinn has been by far the most frequent spokesman for One Big Switch. But the prime mover, and the man whose company has been presented with at least $1 million worth of free publicity, is Kevin Rudd's former press supremo, Lachlan Harris.
What if 50,000 people join up? Do the discounts get bigger because your pocket will get more?
The bigger the potential discounts, right. Basically. The more people who join, the bigger the potential savings.
Well, not according to Christopher Zinn. Only 3 days later, by which time One Big Switch had already signed up more than double its original target of 25,000 households, the Daily Telegraph reported,
the campaign would continue gathering support, Mr Zinn said, but the discount eventually offered was not likely to increase with more registrations.
Really? And yet 2 weeks later, with 125,000 signed up, Karl Stefanovic was still saying this.
Every time we've done this, every time we've had you on, there's been a significant increase in the number of people that are signing up. And as you say, it's because the more people you have, the bigger the discount.
Well, no, that's not what he's saying, Karl. In fact, though the numbers signing on climbed way beyond the original target, the discount Christopher Zinn said he was aiming for never budged a point.
Well, look, I think, 12% is what we're sort of aiming for. It might be even a bit north of that. Who knows?
You might ask, 12% off what? and in which state. Because available discounts are larger in some states than others, and electricity bills are notoriously complex. But as Lachlan Harris admitted to Mediawatch on Friday,
having more people join is no longer a prerequisite to unlocking discounted offers.
What more people will mean, though it's been mentioned amazingly seldom in all the acres of print and swags of free television and radio time devoted to this campaign, is more potential revenue for One Big Switch. Because no, this is not a non-profit public service. As a line in a little blue box in some of News Limited's coverage coyly mentions,
One Big Switch will earn a commission from the electricity provider for each customer who takes up an offer.
The Today programme has rarely mentioned that One Big Switch is a commercial enterprise. When it has, it's swept it aside as of no importance.
One Big Switch gets a commission out of this, but the whole point is to pass on the savings to the rest
exactly.
of us.
You know, we are a business and we have profit for purpose, if you like, but these things can make a real difference and help people.
We have profit for purpose. That means, Ben, that at least 1 point for One Big Switch is to persuade us to switch to a cheaper provider and get paid by that provider for doing so. Christopher Zinn's original goal of 25,000 was, as it turns out, far too modest. As the telly reported this morning,
the big electricity switch campaign has attracted more than 176,000 signatories.
And there's still a week to go. One Big Switch says it will disclose its commission as and when it's earned, and I'm sure it will. But let's say only around half those who've signed up switch electricity suppliers as a result of One Big Switch's efforts. That's 90,000 households. And let's suppose One Big Switch earns a commission of $50 for each of those households. We think that's a conservative figure. That'll earn One Big Switch revenue of $4.5 million. Not bad when they've outlaid practically nothing in publicising the service. And that's not all, because many of those 180,000-odd households will have provided valuable personal information to One Big Switch. The absolute minimum is a name, email address and postcode. But you're invited to supply much more.
Home loan.
Electricity.
Gas.
Solar.
Mobile phone.
Broadband.
Insurance.
So what will happen to all this information? Well, not many people will think to click on the words tucked away at the bottom of One Big Switch's homepage.
Privacy policy.
If they do, in the middle of a screen full of fine print, they'll find this.
We may disclose your personal information to other organisations that provide products or services used or marketed by us, or are involved in initiating or offering a switching or a discount opportunity.
In other words, it won't stay especially private. And it's a huge asset for a company that plans to offer switches on a lot more than your electricity bill. Now let's be clear, we're not suggesting there's anything fraudulent or wrong with the service One Big Switch is offering. As Christopher Zinn has said many times,
our intent in doing this is to drive competition in the whole market and get those people who've never switched to switch. If you're not interested, just go to your existing retailer saying, I've been offered this discount, can you match it? And we know that that can sometimes happen.
Indeed it can. And indeed there are plenty of websites already offering to find you the best deals. As one of them told Alan Jones when One Big Switch first stated that it was aiming for a 12% discount on the standard tariff.
You can get that discount today. There's no group buying for electricity because there's no one-size-fits-all.
So anyone can do this today. Just go to goswitch.com.au.
You can probably get a better discount than 12% just by doing it today.
Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? But at least websites like Go Switch take care to compare like with like. That's not always simple. A canny South Australian consumer claimed that when One Big Switch
sent me an offer to switch to True Energy, and I would get 12.5% discount off the bill. After checking the rates of both companies, I stuck with Power Direct. You have to watch the bastards. True Energy have their lowest rate for the first 100 kilowatt hours, whereas Power Direct's lowest rate is for the first 300 kilowatt hours.
There will be many such traps for the unwary. Undoubtedly, rising power bills are a major concern. Undoubtedly, that concern is what News Limited and the Nine Network are tapping into. As the editor of the Daily Telegraph, Paul Whittaker, told us,
The People Power campaign is a News Limited initiative, which was instigated by us in response to the needs of our readers. The campaign is about getting a better deal for our readers, not promoting any particular company.
But Paul, it is promoting one particular company, Lachlan Harris's, a man who understands what makes the media tick like few others. One Big Switch has just gained 180,000 potential clients it didn't have a month ago. And as he told Layla McKinnon on Weekend Today,
it's been absolutely overwhelming. If people want to take part, they just go to bigelectricityswitch.com.au. It's a really, really big campaign now, and it's only been possible because of the support of the Today Show and the Daily Telegraph, the Herald Sun, the Adelaide Advertiser. You guys have got behind this. That's why it's working, and I'm really confident we're going to get some good discounts.
What you also have, Lachlan, is a fabulous piece of marketing. Not that News Limited or the Today Show were breaking any rules. I doubt that either the Press Council or ACMA would fault them, or even the News Media Council as proposed by Ray Finkelstein QC. But on Friday, News Limited's CEO Kim Williams vowed to fight Mr Finkelstein's proposal all the way if the government adopts it.
Obviously, we take the matter as far as we can. We'll take it to the High Court. I mean, if people intend to have this stoush, one which is wholly avoidable, if they intend to have it, let's have it.
Well, that may or may not prove necessary. Meanwhile, News Limited reporter Steve Lewis has been told by the federal court that he may have to surrender a document that will reveal the source of this story.
Speaker rocked by sex scandal.
New federal shield laws mean that a reporter can't be forced to reveal his source. But if the source is James Ashby, former aide to the Speaker Peter Slipper, the judge ruled that the law may not apply because he's already been outed. It leaves Steve Lewis in a delicate position. He has until Friday to decide what to do. Meanwhile, his defence team claims that the notorious text message from Lewis to Ashby,
"We will get him,"
was not referring to Mr Slipper, but to an elusive Comcar driver. Those 4 words have caused a lot of jumping to conclusions, but nothing is concluded yet. More on this fascinating case perhaps next week. Until then, good night.